Good morning, everybody. This is Glenn, Red Dog Motorsports. We're back out here in the shop, and this morning we're back on stickers, and actually going to, I've already removed it. We're going to work on the carburetor. It works. I haven't really gotten it out on the road. I know we've got a really bad stumble, and that's the accelerator pump. When you hit it, it barely trickles any fluid out. This is a Edelbrock 1407, and I know that because it's written right over here, Edelbrock, and then right there 1407. Not positive, but it looks like well, I am positive. The choke mechanism has been removed from this carburetor. There should be a shaft and a blade right here that goes over this and all that good stuff. I'm sorry, right here. But at any rate, so I don't know where the choke mechanism went for it. All I'm really going to try to be doing is I went ahead and bought the kit, rebuild kit. We'll go through. I definitely want to get this replaced, and then while we're at it, we might as well just replace the jets and any of the other stuff that's in there. This will just make sure that any seals on the end of them, on the end of the needles or anything like that, that might be leaking past a little bit, are replaced, and just give it a good general cleaning. And then from there, I don't have the vacuum gauges anymore to adjust this, so we'll have to do all seat of the pants and basically set it back to factory and go from there. On this too, I can always measure, you know, screw them down like the idle adjust screws. I can screw them down, count the number of turns to get back to where I was, that kind of thing. So we'll probably do that, do some writing on it, and go from there. And by writing on it, I mean some documentation of what I checked, measured, etc. So let's get into this and see what we can get into. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the rod mechanism for the accelerator pump. And then we're going to remove, these are the step-up pistons. We'll remove them. If I have, oops, it's got a good spring in it. I've got a towel down to make sure that I don't have any loss. Let me go get the right unit for that. All right, got the right Torx driver. All right, there's a screw. Probably should have grabbed a magnet while I was at it. I got one right here. Looks like maybe one of our step-up pistons that has a bad spring on it, maybe. There's a step-up piston, needle, and spring. But this one didn't push up at all. Piston's in there, but it's not coming out. Oh my goodness. All right, let me walk over and get a magnet. I have had nothing but problems with electronics lately. This thing just said it had a file error. But at any rate, to catch you back up, I'm not sure where it quit because it didn't beep at me when it did. I've got the step-up piston out. This one's stuck in there. I've got to figure out if it's that way from the factory, or if it's actually stuck. I'm not very conversant with this model particularly. I just have general knowledge on carburetors. I actually have more information on theory than I do on actual carburetors, I would say. Just because when I went to get my airframe and power plant license years ago, I had classes on carburetor function and theories and all that, just because aircraft, many of the aircraft in the general aviation would still have carburetors on them. I mean, they work well, especially in a steady state system where they hold one value at all times, like a wide open throttle or something like that. Carburetors work extremely well. What they don't handle real well, or struggle with more than, say, a fuel injection system, is the transitions. Going from one state of throttle to another, sometimes they have trouble with getting fuel metered out properly. That's where they really run into their inefficiencies. You know, but back in the day, carburetors that could do 30-40 miles a gallon, not a problem. Not a problem at all. But even many fuel injection systems, we're not getting 30 and 40 miles to the gallon out of them. Should be able to. I mean, you know, the technology's there. Oh, come on. I always hate busting these apart. It's where things break. This one's probably never been apart. I guess while we're here, we clean this gasket off. There we go. I'll have to clean that up a little bit better. Probably end up putting this into a little bit of mineral spirits or something here in a minute. Just clean it all up nice. Like I said, it's not really, it's working. It just needs to be cleaned. All right, let's see if we can get this to pop free. Why do you act stuck? It is on there. I don't see any more. Go get a hammer. There we go. All right, so there's the top cover. Should be able to it's just stuck on the gasket. So we just need to remove our gasket, and then this should pop right up. Shouldn't be a problem with the float bowls. They were working fine. We'll have to double check their measurement. use my awl. I'm gonna see if I can't push this step-up valve up. Yep, there it goes. Yeah, so this step-up valve and spring was stuck. So good thing we're gonna clean it out. All right, so that leaves us just the top cover with the floats. All it does feel like one of the springs is, there we go. So one of the needles was a little bit stuck. So a good thing we'll be cleaning all that up. I'll set that to the side. Put my gaskets over here. Here is the main culprit that we actually wanted to replace. This is the accelerator pump, and it was not doing real well. But we've got a new spring and a new pump for it. I'm just setting all that to the side there. All right, so now we should have our jets. All right, there it is. I do have the right one. Have idle circuit, main jets, and secondaries. Although this little motor, I think this carburetor is way more than it needs. It's not, I can't see it needing, just can't see it needing 4 barrels. I mean, it's not a real big carburetor, but still. I think, I didn't even look to see, but I think a 1407, I think it's a 650. Might be smaller than that. All right, so these are our our primary and secondary metering orifices. We'll remove our squirters for our accelerator pump. There's our secondary throttle bodies. Here's our squirters. And there is our ball valve. and rod for the squirters. All right. The only other thing I want to double check, and we talked about this. All right, so these here are idle mixture screws. Half, one, and what's that, an eighth? So 1 1/8 is what they're set up on the way out. So I want to clean these. In fact, you can see how dirty that is. We're going to clean out the seats and all that, get all of the passageways blown clean. Not going to try to run anything down inside there, but that'll just let us go ahead and make sure that the flows that we're getting are correct. All right, I got everything cleaned up, at least as good as we're going to get. You know, be nice if I had one of those ultrasonic cleaners and whatnot, but I don't, so we deal with what we got. But it is better. So what I got sitting in front of me is the top cover, getting ready to put all the float bowls and stuff back in it. Let's see here. First I need to do the seats. This is where the spring, or not the springs, but the needles ride. Oh, they did not give me new filters. I'm gonna have to clean the filters out. I didn't get new ones with the kit, but I'll spray those down real quick. We'll install new ones, or not new ones. All right, there's one. There's two. All right, we'll just slide this in here into the new one, like so. And they just screw down. Don't need to over tighten them. Just need to be tight enough so they're not gonna vibrate loose. Just using a nice wide bladed screwdriver. Try not to chew it up. All right, that's one. And keep in mind, you know, anytime you do these, they don't need a lot of strength for them. None of this stuff, it might get froze up over time, but none of it's installed back to any serious torque. I mean, it's just a big metering system, air and fuel measuring system. You scar it up and you're going to change the way the air flows. It's going to change the metering. And then every carb, especially, you know, with manufacturing tolerances, every carb's going to be a little different too. They're not all going to measure out exactly the same. All right, so we've got two different types of needles. We've got this style with the end right there, and then you've got this style that has the little spring and the little seat that goes in the end of it, like so. One has a little bit of a cushion, the other does not. We're using the solid style. That's what came with it. That's what we're putting back in. Those just drop right into place. Then our gasket goes on like so. Just make sure if you get any little pieces out of it, make sure those are clear. They don't fall into anything. All right. And these go like so. They gave us little new rods. So we're installing those. That doesn't seem right. This one's right. That needle doesn't seem to be seated properly. Don't know what's going on here. Couldn't have screwed it up. I didn't build that part. That's odd. But it doesn't want to seat down in there where it's supposed to. It does on this one. See? It's supposed to go down in there. And it does not. Oh, why, oh, why? You guys watched me install it. I didn't over torque it. I don't know, it's just burred up. If I have to use one of the old ones, I will. Yeah, it's manufactured wrong or something. Question is, which part is it? Alright, so it's the seat itself, not the needle. It is made wrong. I don't know why. It's irritating. So I'll have to use one of the old ones. Not a huge deal. As long as it's clean, it shouldn't be a big issue. We'll take the old gasket off it. There's a new one on it already. I'll put the spring in there, or the screen. Reinstall it. Interesting. It's always stuff like this. When you're dealing with these older cars, you run into this problem all the time. It seems like, you know, manufacturer stuff isn't exactly the same. It's close, but it's not exactly right. It's different. You end up with 1 out of 2 aren't right in terms of where it sits. And I don't like that either. What a difference. Huh. I don't know, it's not sitting. Not achieving. What I'm trying to see is if it's seating on the seat in there. Can't really tell. And it's just made shorter or something? I don't know. Definitely don't like the way it feels. They definitely sit differently in each one. That's for sure. But these are adjustable. So we get each one of the floats set on here. With their new pin. Now we need to adjust for this measurement right there. Should be 7/16 of an inch. You can see this side, it's not even close. So what we have to do is adjust this little tang right here up or down, so that when it hits this pin, it'll hold that up. And I'm just using, it's supposed to be 7/16 of an inch, and I'm just using a drill bit for that measurement. Then I can use a little crescent. This gives you a nice even bend. Like so. Don't bend those on top of the needle. You press that needle down, putting that force on it, and you're going to ruin the seat, the little rubber piece, and then your floats are going to leak. Then it'll constantly flood, and you'll wonder why. All right, come on. Maybe adjusted it too much. Yeah, I got it just a tad over. So we'll take and bring her down a little bit. Easy peasy. This just takes some time to get them set right where you want. Alright, so we're back to putting everything back together, and I can tell you these gaskets are just poorly cut. I guess if I get for getting a cheap set off of the old Amazon website there, but I did it because it got it to me sooner. My mistake. But it'll work. So in no particular order, I'm putting the primaries back on. Then we'll put the secondaries. We'll put the squirter. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. Now I know these parts aren't all shiny and whatnot, and that's just not, it's just not necessary for them to be that way. They just need to be clean. Just noticed I left a little bit of dirt right there. It's really more important just that everything seals up properly, so you're not getting air or fuel from places you shouldn't be into the circuit that's trying to operate. If your idle circuit has an orifice that's closed off or smaller than it should be due to dirt, or you get in there and scratch it up and make it larger, drill it out, then your metering's going to be wrong. Now you can do that if you adjust the entire circuit so that the fuel and the air part of that circuit are adjusted in relation to each other. Certainly then you can adjust it. You know, if you're running a smaller carb on a bigger motor, maybe a 305 that's been bored out or something, and you want to run the stock carburetor, but you need just that little bit of additional air fuel, then you can start drilling and adjusting orifices. But for the most part, leave it alone. And hopefully these cheap gaskets don't come back and bite me in the butt. And again, I'm not tightening these down to anything other than good and solid. Just trying to make sure they're even. They're not going to come loose. That's all we need. And this isn't really a how-to video. This is a how I do it video. Okay. Secondaries. Of course, the whole reason I did this was simply for the accelerator pump. So as long as I don't screw anything else up, we should be good. Now remember, these carburetor kits are for more than one carburetor. So if you have a little extra pieces here and there, you're probably okay. Not every one uses all of the pieces out of the kit. All right. This is the squirters for our accelerator pump. Goes just like so. Oh, see, I'm forgetting pieces. The ball and that. And then this. Basically, that little spacer and that ball are the metering system for when this plunger pushes down, goes through the passage underneath there and back up, and then that pushes on that ball That plunger comes up, keeps the ball from just flying all the way up. But you don't want it pulling, you know, it's going to constantly pull under vacuum if you're not careful. All right, I gotta go get some lubrication for the plunger on the accelerator pump before I put it in there. You don't want to be tearing this up. Just a little bit of O-ring lube or something will work. All right, I'll be right back with that lube. Here's the spring. All right, I'm just using some Parker O-ring lube for this. And we'll just give her a little bit of a shot on the edge. Just like that. All right. So that goes there. Making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Now these, they go in there. Put the shaft of the there we go. Sits down real nice. Now we got 8 screws. Now, I'm sure the old timers can tell you if there's an exact method of tightening these screws down, but I basically just use the old crisscross star pattern just to get it down evenly. Don't use Loctite. Could use some anti-seize, I suppose. And I don't go all the way tight. I can go in a couple of rounds, trying to keep it even. That way I don't produce leaks, air leaks. You know, if you've got an air leak, if you get a tear in that gasket or something like that, that's going to give you an air leak, just like an intake gasket leak, intake manifold leak, do the same thing. All right, last one. All right, now we just give them a good quarter to half turn more. Plunger's working good. Now we need our spring, our step up, our screw and our cover. Well, that wasn't good. Good thing this is why you don't do this on the motor. Okay, we have everything in place. Just the 4 bolts holding it on. We put the gasket in place. I put these on hand tight first, and then I go around and I spread them down evenly so that we don't torque the case of the carburetor. It's easy enough to do. Reconnected the return spring, the throttle. Probably should have ran that underneath, but no big deal. We've got the gasket in place for the air cleaner. Fuel is reconnected. Our main vacuum lines are reconnected. So I didn't pour fuel down the carb. I may have to. We'll see how strong the fuel pump is. But should take a minute to crank over. Well, not gonna get you much good video out of this. The question is, you know, if this fuel pump's not very strong, it's gonna take forever to fill the float bowls. And if it does that, then I'll run the battery down, and then we'll have problems. Uh-oh. Did she start? Look at that. I don't think she's going to have good fuel mileage at that rate, though. She seems to be flooding out a little bit. All right, so we got some things that we need to work on. But as you can see, it runs. Now I just got to get in there and fiddle with all the measurements. Let me figure out which ones need to be done, and then we'll bring you back. Screaming that I'm adjusting the floats wrong. You should have screamed louder. All right, because I did adjust them wrong. It's been a while, like I said. So when I adjust these, the 7/16 is right, but you adjust that at this point, and this stop tab is when it goes back up, it should only be 15/16. Right now the problem I'm having is it's flooding out because it's getting too much fuel. So gonna get these adjusted, get all my tabs where they need to be, that kind of thing, and then we will get back in there. But right now I'm thinking we're pretty good. Once I get these needles and seats to work properly, we should be good to go, and I can move on to the myriad of other projects that we got. So now when I flip this over, so it's 7/16 sitting like that, and then you flip it over, oops, and this measurement should be 15/16. So this measurement from here to there should be 15/16. And right now it's over that, so I got to bend it a little bit more, but I'm going to play with that and we'll get it all set, go from there. All right, let me turn a fan on here. She's smoking a little bit. I mean, she's running rich at the moment. Now whether that's simply a matter of because I flooded it, or whether we need to turn down the idle, I mean, it is running cold. Now it doesn't have a choke on it, so we know the choke's not influencing it. But I need to get some heat in it see how she goes from there. But unlike before when we were cranking and cranking, now she just fires right up. She's going to idle. And like I said, if she's running rich on idle, we can lean it out. We'll take those back in that 1/8 of an inch or 1/8 turn. See if that doesn't fix it. But it seems they've gotten rid of it. The most importantly, the accelerator pump's working, and I got rid of that huge stumble. But overall, it seems to be running much cleaner across the board. So we'll call that a win. It's getting to be about lunchtime. I'm gonna kind of wrap all this up, get a bite to eat, and then gonna put the water neck on the buggy, ham and cheese sandwich. That way we can move it out of the way and get stickers out on the road and test drive it. All right, YouTube, we are gonna wrap up this video. We've got stickers running. Rona and I last night got it out and drove it. Went down to a friend's house. So she runs, she drives down the road. Still got some problems though. Starter switch is not working real well. It's in and out. That's an easy enough fix, just to get another starter switch, install it, wire it up, and away we go. Good to go. Nothing but a little wiring work. That should fix that problem. Got a real bad stumble coming on the low end. I have gone through and adjusted the idle, and then adjusted the idle mixture screws. You adjust for a good idle. Come in here, you adjust one side till you get a increase in RPM, adjust the idle back down, increase in the RPM, adjust the idle. Then I went in and adjusted the timing. That got rid of a lot of it. I probably need to go back through and do that a couple more times and keep playing with it until I get it right where it needs to be. Of course, there's a plethora of other items that need to be done on it, but I'm done throwing money at it for now. Just really goal was to get it back so we could drive it. So we'll probably do the starter switch mainly because I have one on the shelf. And the carb tuning is something we can continue doing. She's got a pretty good oil leak, so we'll have to address that, which I'm already trying to do. I threw some stop leak at it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. If it doesn't, then we'll just keep adding oil. I'll throw a pan underneath it whenever we park it and call it good. But we're gonna wrap this up. As always, thank you for watching, and continue to look forward to more on this later in the future when we turn it into hopefully a burnout car. All right, have a good one.